Welcome to the Eaton Area Municipal Advisory Council meeting for Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. My name is Tisa Danslard, and I'll be clerking this meeting. And once we elect the chair and vice chair, I'll turn it over to the chair. We'll call the meeting to order, and may we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call the council member roll. Councilmember Klauser.
Here.
Councilmember Dragoni.
Here.
Councilmember Esteen.
Here.
Councilmember Freed.
Present.
Councilmember Ong.
Present.
Councilmember Poon.
Here.
Councilmember Weidler.
Present.
All council members are present. I'll turn it over to Supervisor Miley for the welcome.
Thank you. So welcome. This is a historic moment, extremely historic. You know, we've had a Castro Valley MAC, and then 2 years ago we created the Fairview MAC, and lo and behold, we now have an Eden Area MAC. This is extremely historic. So we have, and there's been a Sonoma MAC, but since I don't have a role to play at Sonoma MAC, I don't typically think of Sonoma. But you know, to have a MAC representing all of the urban unincorporated communities is, it's just very powerful. I know some of you have worked with me on the Eden Area Livability Initiative over the last dozen years or so, and to have this body in place now, I think, is a culmination of a lot of work. You know, the MAC members, they are advisory to the Board of Supervisors, but they are public officials. You all took an oath, right? You all raised your right hand and took an oath. They're all public officials. And just like other MACs that we've had in the past, the Castro Valley MAC particularly, because it's been in existence for many, many years, there have been disputes where we've gone into litigation, and as public officials, the MAC members have been sued. Typically, we just, we get them out of the lawsuit, and the county absorbs that, but they're public officials. They're going to have to understand conflict of interest. They're going to have to deal with other things to make sure that they represent the needs of the public and the interests of the public. I don't necessarily interfere with the deliberations of the MAC. My staff, they don't do that either, because all of the MAC members, you're here to represent the interest of the public, to use your best thinking, your judgment, and I don't think it's appropriate as the county supervisor for me or my office or my staff or any of us to weigh in and kind of help and try to direct you in your thinking. It's up to you to make your decisions, come up with your thinking, your opinions, and then bring that advice to the next body, which could be the BZA, could be the Planning Commission, or it could be the Board of Supervisors. But if you don't deliberate and come up with your own independent thinking, then it's not honest, it's disingenuous. And so people often wonder, well, you've appointed the MAC, so you control the MAC. No, I don't control the MAC. That's not how I roll, that's not how I operate. And that'll be the same case with this body, and I'm sure Supervisor Chan feels the same way. And as officials of the public, the issues that these 7 individuals are going to take on are not always going to be black and white. I wish issues were always black and white, but there's going to be gray. And they're going to have to come up with decisions around land use, around how a piece of property might be utilized, how maybe should this development go in here? Should this business have this type of expansion? Should we pass this type of ordinance, and what's going to be the impact of this ordinance? What are the unintended consequences? There's so many things that they will take up, and most of the stuff that they'll take up probably won't even see another body, the BZA or the Planning Commission or the Board of Supervisors, because their responsibilities isn't just land use, it's also the public good, the public welfare, the public safety, the public works. So they'll take up matters that maybe won't even advance. And I just want to say, and I'm saying this with all honesty, the Castro Valley MAC and the Fairview MAC, they serve the public extremely well. They're all volunteers. $50 a meeting doesn't really cut it. I mean, they're volunteers. There's homework that goes into that to prepare for meetings. And then there's things that take place maybe after the meeting. So as volunteers, a lot of times the MACs have taken up matters that have saved my office the responsibility of having to deal with. I know before we had the Fairview MAC, I would have stakeholder meetings every other month and have to take up matters to deal with. Since we've had the Fairview MAC, those issues have gone to the Fairview MAC to deliberate around and to resolve and to figure out. And most of the things that have gone to the Fairview MAC haven't come to the Board of Supervisors. Now, that being said, 90%, this has been kind of the track record, 90% of the things that come to the Board of Supervisors that the MAC has taken a position on, we usually support. There's 10% that we don't support. I mean, there's just something today that the board supported that the Fairview MAC and the Castro Valley MAC had a different opinion on. But 90% of the things the Board of Supervisors will support. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for deciding to take on this responsibility, for serving the public, for giving up your time. Some of you know one another. Some of you I've worked with in the past very extensively, and some of you are new. And it's just really great to see such a diverse group of gentlemen and ladies here before us this evening to take on this big responsibility. So let's give them a round of applause. This is definitely important. So thank you all for wanting to serve.
We'll now hear from Jared Savage representing Supervisor Wilma Chan for the welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Jared Savas. I'm District Director for Supervisor Wilma Chan. Supervisor Chan is sick, unfortunately, which is why she is unable to make it here today. So I'm just going to be very brief, just pass along some welcoming remarks and good wishes directly from the Supervisor. Again, she apologizes for not being able to be here in person, but she sends her congratulations on the inaugural MAC meeting, especially to all the people who helped make this possible, both with the county and the community, those who have advocated for years for the MAC's creation. We thank you very deeply. This is all, the reason we're here today is all due to your advocacy and your hard work, so thank you very much. She also wants to send along her thank you, special thank you to Supervisor Miley for his partnership in helping to create this new body for the Eden area, and also to Tona, the Supervisor Miley's Chief of Staff, for all her hard work in helping to put this first meeting together, and the MAC itself. Matt Turner and all of Supervisor Miley's staff who worked so hard for this. And of course, to the new members themselves, she offers her congratulations. She looks forward to working with all of you in the days, months, and years to come on all the important issues that are going to be facing the Eden area. So from Supervisor Chan, welcome, congratulations, and we look forward to a wonderful working relationship with all of you going forward.
We'll now have public comments. If you'd like to make a public comment, you can fill out the cards on the table here. And you have 3 minutes to make your comments. We have Cheryl Hoffman first. After Cheryl, Kelly Ebru, Peter Rosen, and Chris Higgins.
Thank you so much. Is it on?
Move it closer.
As I hold my piece of paper, you can see I'm not technology. I'm here to give a report about our San Lorenzo County Library, which serves the entire Eden MAC. So it's one of those bodies that unifies MAC. Normally in the past, for the past few years, I have sent out an email listing events that are coming up, but my computer is dead. So I'm here in person. If you want me to do this each meeting, I will be happy to. I do have a few flyers that I will, if I have enough, I'll give them to the board. Okay, the library will be closed January 20th for Martin Luther King Day, February 12th for Lincoln's birthday, February 17th for Washington. There will be a Lunar New Year celebration on January 25th from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. It will be at this library. There will be wonderful entertainment for children. There will be red envelopes given out. This, I believe, is the 3rd annual. On March 14th, which for mathematicians, you know that is Pi Day, P-I Day, there is going to be a Pi Day, Pi, P-I-E, contest. And you need to register. The first 12 people who register will be able to bake their pie, and it will be a blind testing taste, and there will be winners declared. There is a deadline to register, which is February 29th. Friends of the Library are having a book sale on Pi Day and the next day, so March 14th and March 15th. This room will become the Friends of the Library book sale. All of the money that the Friends earn goes to this library. They support all of the programs that the librarians have for children, for adults, for teens. If you would like to help, setup is going to be on Friday the 13th, March 13th, and takedown will be Sunday, March 15th, and you can just ask somebody in the Friends book nook and they'll give you more details. Any questions from the board? Thank you.
First, I'd like to welcome the new advisory council. I grew up near Cherryland, and after many years, this community still isn't getting its due. This new council should expect more from the county, expect more parks and trails for healthful recreation, expect more sidewalks. The pavement condition index here is inferior to neighboring cities. Expect to fix some potholes and repave a few streets. Address some of the quality of life issues. Expect blight abatement. Remove broken down cars to free up some parking space. Enforce expired car registrations. The county is a lot worse at that than in some of these neighboring cities. The most important thing this community can do is to consolidate its political base. The population of this community rivals, the size of the population rivals Castro Valley or Dublin or Pleasanton. And each one of those guys, those areas, is united in one district of the supervisors. They speak with one voice. Here the communities are gerrymandered into 2 or 3 districts. Your voices are divided and your political power diluted. The redistricting in 2021 must fix the gerrymandering. Unite Ashland, Cherryland, and San Lorenzo and Eden for fair and balanced representation. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Peter Rosen, and while I don't live in San Lorenzo, I think I can safely say I'm about as excited as anybody in the room about, well, maybe not as much as Keith, but about this. I want to congratulate everybody who's here. I want to congratulate you for stepping up and for volunteering and for your commitment. I think that this is wonderful. It's going to be a lot of work, but I really appreciate your dedication and your willingness to do this. I want to thank Supervisors Mylene Chan, and I especially want to thank Claudia Albano for guiding the Eli governance group through some pretty tough times to come around to this, that we've coalesced to. This is wonderful. I think it's great for the community. I think it's great to have representation. I think that it truly gives a voice to a community that needed a voice. And I think it's about fostering leadership. These are all wonderful things. I'm very, very proud of you, and I'm proud of our community, and I think it's a wonderful thing, so thank you, everybody.
I'm Chris Higgins, and like Peter, I am not a resident of your area. I am, however, a resident of Fairview, and we got a MAC a year and a half, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2, okay. And I just, again, Nate and where Wilma's got her staff here, thank you very much for that. You guys gave our communities a forum and gave us a chance to form these MACs. And it's really cool, guys. I hope you're as excited as we were in Fairview. And let me second what Supervisor Miley said about, I've never heard him tell any of us what he wanted to hear. The only thing I've ever heard from him is, I want to hear what's going on in the community. And so his statement, in case you're thinking he's a politician, and, we don't always believe him. He lives it, okay? I'm just saying. Of course, maybe I'm not such a good endorser, but congratulations, guys, and Peter, thank you. And Peter was right. I think Keith is the most excited person. How many years, Keith?
About 11.
About 11? Yeah, back in Eli 1. And let me second the thanks to Claudia, and also April Chan is here, another one of our Fairview MAC members, to cheer you guys on. And who else do we have? That's enough, guys.
Next, we have David Gerke, Keith Barrows, and Renee Sutton for public comment.
I thought about writing a song, but no, not tonight. I'm going to, though. I'll save it for the celebration party, whatever that's going to be.
Did we get to vote on that?
First of all, I want to thank you also. I think you all deserve a raise. The idea of an Eden MAC has always been about ending division yeah, I am excited. And forging unity for our mutual benefit. We're not all going to agree, but I think we have a very well balanced board. We've got the millennials with the energy of youth, and the baby boomers with the wisdom of many birthdays. Different levels of education and life experience. This idea, I want to make a couple of points. And if I go over, I have a contingency plan for that. This idea of an Eden MAC originated here in San Lorenzo Village. And I urge you not to forget that. Part of EMAC's responsibility is to oversee that our county rules and ordinances are adhered to by new proposals and applications. the Village Home Association here in San Lorenzo has experience in depth in these kinds of matters. A lot of people feel, I shouldn't say a lot. Many people feel that the Home Association does too much. Many feel that they don't do enough. That's all you hear about is the complaining people. But one thing you have to admit, that everyone should admit, is that we have an extra set of rules that we have agreed to live by that have made this 75-year-old community a much nicer place to live than it would have been otherwise. Like I said, we're not all going to agree on everything. We had naysayers to the idea of the Eden Mac, and I understand why. We had some people speak out against having those people in the village, or those people in Ashland, or those people in Cherryland making decisions for us people. I didn't mention Hayward Acres because I never heard anything like that from them, and besides that, nobody knew that Hayward Acres existed, myself included. I consistently told people that they will not be making decisions for us. They will be making decisions with us. And I'd like to present an idea for a protocol going forward. Is when an applicant or something comes up, that you strongly consider having the representative or representatives from that particular community who's going to be affected. Okay, Renee, tell them.
He has about 3 minutes.
Thank you. That the affected community be given the representative from the affected community be given the opportunity to speak first on the issue and also to speak last. Please try to remember that, bear that in mind when you're hearing things. And then, of course, there's a challenge. I don't know a lot on this subject, but even though that, I'm not going to let that prevent me from having an opinion on it. It's my understanding that a couple of folks in Cherryland are entertaining the idea of being annexed by Hayward. And that's the city that cherry-picked the revenue-paying pieces of Cherryland to increase Hayward's revenue. And they didn't want the rest of Cherryland's residents. If the city of Hayward were to want to go along with this, which is an unknown at this point, what reason would Hayward want Cherryland for now? And why now? Why now with this timing when we just got an EMAC formed? Would Hayward want it for the benefit of Cherryland? My personal opinion, I don't think so. What would Hayward do with Cherryland and what would they do to it? I don't know. Among other reasons, I would prefer to keep the Alameda County Sheriff and Fire Department and the Alameda County Fire Departments over Hayward PD and Hayward Fire Department. I mention this only because it's a threat to secede from the EMAC. And it's not something that would happen overnight, but at any rate, it is a threat. And to the reason, and also the reasons that many people worked so hard for so long to make this happen. And the county survey proved that 94% of the people in Cherryland voiced that they wanted a MAC. We're already facing our first test, the challenge to our unity. Prove that we were right, prove that the power-grabbing naysayers were wrong. And I'll read this quote from the document made up from Eli 1. It closes with, further division of one community against another will only lead to continued chaos. Whatever strength that can be achieved in the unincorporated areas will only happen if it stays strong and together. An army divided is conquered. That statement was made by a person I respect very much, Kathy Reed. Let's stay unified. Thank you.
Kathy Reed right there. Her right there.
Good evening. My name is David Gerke. I'm the president of the Castro Valley Eden Area Chamber of Commerce. And I'd just like to have all my board members and my executive please stand up. So, a lot of people ask me, what chamber do? I mean, who are we? What do we actually do? So I wrote something. We are your leaders in the community. We bring together businesses, people, and organizations to help the community thrive. We organize, advocate, and connect resources. We create success and opportunity for economic development. We make dreams a reality. We help you survive, overcoming obstacles, teaching, learning, growing stronger with every success. We are your voice for commerce, amplifying your message to local officials, county staff, and the community. We build relationships and we build relationships and recognize that diversity is the strength in our community. We are uniquely able to attract and support private and public partners that will enhance the quality of life in our community. We are volunteers, doers, builders, developers, executives, teachers, lover of hard work, loyalty, honesty, and determination towards the success of our community. We are event makers, innovators, and inventors. We are your Castro Valley Eden Area Chamber of Commerce.
That's all for the public forum, and we'll now hear from Supervisor Milo.
I just wanted to say that there will be a workshop for the MAC, not just this MAC, but all 3 MACs on January 30th it'll be at the West Winton, the Planning Department Commission Chambers in West Winton, 6 o'clock?
4 to 8.
4 to 8. 4 to 8. Yeah. 4 to 8. It's a workshop for the MAC, both the new MAC members as well as current MAC members who have had a lot of experience covering a lot of different things from code of conduct to conflict of interest and other things. The public's welcome to attend, but the workshop is for the MAC members so they understand their duties and responsibilities. Supervisor Chan's office and my office will be at all of these MAC meetings. We will be live streaming the MAC meetings. Hopefully at some point there'll be a firm that'll live stream all the MAC meetings, but presently my office does that for all 3 MACs. But hopefully we'll be able to get a firm to do that at some point. And then Tona, many of you know Tona Henninger. She was Mary King's chief of staff, who was the supervisor before I became the supervisor. And then Tona worked as the head of code enforcement for a number of years, and now she's my chief of staff, and she's worked with Sonoma MAC. And so she has responsibility of working with all 3 MACs in the unincorporated area to help provide guidance and steering and help the MACs achieve appropriate progress and understanding of their duties and roles and things of that nature. So she's a reference. She won't. I think she'll plans to be at every MAC meeting, but if she's not, my office will still be here along with Supervisor Chan's office. So I just wanted to point that out because I didn't say that at the beginning.
Okay, we'll move on to, there are no approval of minutes and there's nothing on the consent calendar. So now we'll move on to the regular calendar, the nomination and election of chair and vice chair. And we'll ask the council members to make sure your microphones are turned on and use the microphone so you can be picked up by the recording. And now you may nominate for and elect, nominate for chair, and we'll start with nominations for chair.
I'd actually like to nominate Jennifer Allen.
Is there a second?
Does the nomination process include discussion?
Well, you have to have a second first.
But you have to, so your nomination is, and then is there a second to the nomination?
You can't discuss it if somebody doesn't second it, it kind of just. Okay, good.
So there's a nomination and a second, now discussion.
Why did you nominate Jennifer?
That's a good question because I don't know a lot of you, so I just know that I've met some of you and I looked some of you up online, and I looked up Jennifer, and she seemed to have been on several boards and other kinds of committees, and just seemed to have an experience that the chair might need, especially when we're just getting started. So that's why I gave that. I can't say that I have no idea what kind of experience the rest of you might have. But, you know, if I didn't find much online, I don't know much more than that. So, but that was my reason.
I think boards and commission history and knowledge is a good thing.
Can we hear from Jennifer as to your interest level?
Absolutely. This is, of course, even just serving on the MAC is very much an honor and a privilege. I've lived in San Lorenzo, unincorporated Hayward for 30 years, and like Diane said, I can't seem to stop volunteering for everything. So I just enjoy serving, and it's just my way of giving back to the community. So yes, I would absolutely be interested in any way I can to serve a role that the MAC needs for me to serve in any way.
Any further discussion?
You need a motion.
This is our first meeting on the board, and a lot of us on this board have not really interacted with each other, so we don't really, the way I look at it, we don't really, I think that we ought to put it off until next month to select the person that chairs the meeting. Don't you want?
You need to have a chair.
I don't want to be the chair myself, but I know that we have a lot of experience. Diane's been president of one, of our board, and I don't know the experience of the others. I guess we just kind of have to work it through, apparently.
Okay. The chair's for
Thank
1
you.
year. The chair is for 1 year. So
You have to have a chair and a vice chair.
That's why I'm speaking at the mic, because it's for 1 year. And we have, a 3-year term. And so if we do have a chair that we don't particularly care for, this gets, that has one problem or another, like I said, I personally have lived here for 55 years, and I've interacted with only a couple of these people. And I've been to practically every board meeting at the HOA. So that's where I'm coming from, really.
Well, the thing is, to interfere with your discussion, you're an official body. You need to have a chair. You need to have a vice chair. So if the chair is not here, the vice chair can run the meetings. You are an official body, so you have to elect a chair and a vice chair. If you want my perspective, I know Jennifer, she'd be an excellent chair. I think a couple of you would be an excellent chairs, but she's the one that's been nominated. Unless the nominations are closed or you put another person forth, we need to proceed.
I'd like some clarification on the number of years that people are appointed for. We're not all appointed for 3 years. There's a 2-year and a 4-year term. So, given that the chair is only 1 year, I was appointed for 2 years, so I will self-nominate, if that's okay, for the chair position.
You can't self-nominate.
Somebody would have to nominate you.
You can't self-nominate.
Somebody has to nominate you.
Okay, so I can't self-nominate. Okay.
So the terms for people were 2, 3, and 4 years. That really doesn't, I understand the interest. It's not a concern with regard to the chair's position and the vice chair. The chair and the vice chair serve for a 1-year term with a possibility of a second 1-year term. And then at such time it moves from there. There's a nomination and a second on the floor. So at some point we need to move forward with that nomination and see how that goes. And then we'll go to the next step from there.
I'd like to nominate Michael Freed as chair.
We have a
Let's
nomination
be
in a
clear.
second.
I'm sorry. Let's be clear. So we need to first vote on the first nomination that's already been seconded. If it fails, we'll then ask for another nomination.
So
Right now, you're just voting on the nomination that's on the floor, which is Jennifer as chair.
So
we're going to call for a vote.
No, we're still discussing.
You know, you can discuss it, at some point, we'll close that part of the discussion and call for the vote. But the discussion is around the chair, and then the vote will be for Jennifer, so you can't make any other nominations until we get through that process first.
So could a question be, can we go down and say on a scale from 1 to 5, our interest in being chair?
You can
That
do whatever you'd like to do. It can be part of the discussion. However, I don't know how applicable it is to the person that's before you at the moment, is what I would say. But you can talk about whatever you want.
I'd like to know why Michael wants to self-nominate.
Because I was really looking forward to being on this board for just the 2-year term.
Can you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry. My main reason is that I really was looking forward to being on a short-term thing, only to see that this thing gets going, and then be free to go out and be supportive in other community activities. So that's my main rationale. And if I'm appointed just for the short term, then that would be more reasonable for me. That's my goal.
I do understand the hesitation because we don't all know each other. But what I can tell you is that it's exactly what Supervisor Parson had mentioned, and some of you who know me. There's a lot of rules and regulations, of course, that go with running a meeting and being mindful of the process. And luckily, I've had the League of Women Voters do a lot of extensive training for us to follow those. And when we have contentious issues to deal with the public, that does help to offer up the experience that I've had over the years chairing currently the Alameda County Workforce Development Board, the Commission on the Status of Women, which I chaired several years ago as well. So that is something that I'm very willing to and very eager to work with all of you, but no matter what role we have, we'll work together.
Any further discussion before we call for the vote?
So was that a 5?
It's a 5.
So then I call for, what's it? Make a motion to take a vote on that.
I know. Just wait.
We need help.
It'll be okay.
Is there any further discussion on the nomination of Jennifer Ong for chair? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion before we call for the vote?
So we can't ask if there's anyone else that's interested?
Not at this moment.
No, not right now.
Others have said that, but you're still gonna have to vote on what
Yeah, we have to get through this nomination in a second, and then you can. Is there any further discussion before we call for the vote? Okay. All in favor of Jennifer Ong for chair? Aye. Clauser?
Sorry?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Passes.
motion passes. Unanimously, Jennifer Ong is the chair. And, can I turn the meeting over to the chair?
I'm sorry?
Can I turn the meeting over to the chair now?
I would do the vice chair.
And just get it done. And actually, according to the rules, but we won't do that.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll have a nomination for vice chair of the committee. Are there any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Michael for vice chair.
Is there a second?
Is there a second to the nomination?
Second.
Okay, it's been, Michael Freed has been nominated and seconded for vice chair of the Eden Area MAC. Is there any discussion?
Oh, you
It's
guys.
also for 1 term, right? I mean, for 1 year.
They're both for 1 year with the possibility of a second year.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Actually, just for clarity, so does both the chair and vice chair, I guess, like confer with the supervisors when coming up with the agenda? Is that the role?
Yeah,
To a certain degree, this, because there's two supervisors' offices, involved in this map, it may be where, agenda items, come through the clerk's office from the various departments like planning and public works and such as what's before you today, so we'll call for agenda items. There may be items that come up from your meeting, and then yes, our offices will touch base with the chair and the vice chair with regards to agenda items, too. But there is, a certain, standard of items that come before the map, such as planning applications, public works projects, that sort of thing. So that's what'll come before too.
Okay, and then I just want to be clear, my office makes it a practice of meeting with the chair and the vice chair monthly. And so I don't see any different, I've always said with all the maps, we try to follow uniformity. So I can anticipate that my office, Tona and Supervisor Chan's office, will meet with the chair and vice chair monthly.
Any further discussion, for vice chair before we call for the vote? All in favor of Michael Freed for vice chair? You can raise your hand. Aye. Do we have, any ayes? Okay, 7 ayes. So unanimously, it's been voted Michael Freed is the vice chair of the Eden area. And I'll now turn the meeting over to the chair. What we have further on the agenda, we have an action item, adoption of the 2020 meeting schedule, and then we have 2 informational items.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead to item 2, adopt 2020 meeting schedule. And you should have an attachment. So at this time, do we have any background information from staff that you want to share, or?
No, that's your meeting schedule for this year. It's the second Tuesday of every month unless there was a holiday, but I think in your case there was not. So we're just asking for you to formally adopt the calendar, and that's it.
Yeah. And the only other thing we would say, even though this is your meeting schedule, it's a possibility that you might cancel a meeting. There's also a possibility you might have a special meeting or meetings, depending on the nature of the issues that you're dealing with. Because I think we wrote into the budget that this MAC could meet every month. Once a month, but if necessary, it could be a special meeting if necessary. Yeah.
So members of the MAC are looking for, public.
In my experience, it's customary that before you make a motion or vote, you do ask the public if they have any comments on the agenda item.
Correct.
Is that
correct?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So usually we'll ask for staff background, then public comment.
Right.
So, and do we need them to submit a card, or?
I've heard a bit about
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I don't have to. I can come over to that after, but
That's fine.
Okay, go ahead then.
when it's an item on the agenda as opposed to an item not on the agenda.
Is there an extra agenda? My pile did not come with one. Thank you.
You receive your packets also via email, so you can also download all, that. And then you'll receive a packet also in the mail if there's like a planning application that you'll get a physical copy in the mail as well from the various departments. Okay.
So at this time, we are looking for public comments regarding this item, the meeting schedule.
Thank you. My name is Penny Peck. I'm on the San Lorenzo School Board, and I know almost all of you except Mrs. Steen, and or unless it's Dr. Steen. This is Nurse Steen. Yeah, and it's great. I'm very excited to be here and very happy. And the school district serves almost the same, except for a tiny part of Cherryland that's not in our school district. It's in Hayward. But other than that, we serve all the same community. And I wanted to speak to this item because the school board meets the first and third Tuesday of the month. So we think that this schedule of the second Tuesday of the month is really great for our community because a lot of people want to go to both meetings. So I think that this is a really good thing, and we're very excited that you chose that second Tuesday of the month. I think that'll be, it makes it more inclusive to the community to be able to attend those meetings. Thank you.
You're welcome. There is one third Tuesday we meet, it's in September.
Alright, any other comments from the public regarding this item? Okay, so at this time, we'll, check in with our committee members if you have any, or council members if you have any additional questions, comments. If not, we'll go ahead and take, a motion to adopt the meeting schedule.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Michael Creed, and is there a second?
Second.
Second by Eva Poon. And all in favor for the motion to adopt the meeting schedule, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, looks like motion passes unanimously. And then, at this time then, if, folks can look at the public art projects item. And this is the public art projects for street corridor improvement projects on East 14th Street in Ashland and Hesperian Boulevard in San Lorenzo. And the art proposals on view are there through January 30th, 2020. And this is just informational item, and I believe Rachel will be speaking on this item. Rachel?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I am so honored to be your first presentation, and congratulations to all of you. And I too appreciate all of your service, and it's wonderful to be here tonight. So I am going to give an update about the public art programs. Yes, it's an informational item. I'm here to give you an update, and then also my goal is that I will also come back in March, in which there will be a voting item on public art. So I really wanted to make sure that I could get here tonight so I could give you an update, and then you would see this upcoming voting item in March. So actually, I thought I would start with just an overview about the Alameda County Arts Commission, just briefly. Members, I do have this PowerPoint. This is one of those, you can decide what you'd like to do. Would you like to, you could or could not turn to look at the PowerPoint, or there's lots of pictures of art, so you might want to see it. So sorry about that. I guess you'll work on it.
You can also step out of your chairs and come out here because it's so close. I don't know.
It was not. No. But I can
it's an
send it to you.
informational item for you, so there's no action that's being taken on this item.
Okay, so just an overview. The Alameda County Arts Commission's work is based on the belief that arts and creativity is an essential part of every successful and thriving community. The Office of the Arts Commission is a division of the county, and the staff administers programs and services. There's myself, the director of the Alameda County Arts Commission, and we have 3 full-time staff in addition to myself. The Arts Commission was actually established in 1965 as one of the 70 boards and commissions, and over the years, the Arts Commission has developed a number of programs and services that are ongoing, and therefore we have staff, so we're kind of a robust commission. But like other boards and commissions, in our case, we have 15 community members that are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, 3 that represent each of the 5 districts. Plus, there's 7 ex officio members that represent county departments and regional arts organizations. 3 of the ex officios, they're named by their position, 3 are the directors of Public Works Agency, Community Development Agency, and General Services Agency. We support all art forms: visual art, music, drama, dance, traditional folk art, crafts, arts education, everything creative, all based on this belief that it's essential to a thriving community. The main programs we have include arts advocacy, in which we just try to elevate the understanding of the importance of arts in terms of all aspects of our lives. And we manage the public art program. We have an arts funding program and arts education. And currently right now we're in the process of receiving applications for nonprofit arts organizations to receive small grants from us. If you go to our website, you can find out more. For arts education, we do lots of different advocacy and direct programs and services. March is Art is Education Month, so we have a partnership with the library and they offer free arts programs connected to that. The public art program was established by the Board of Supervisors in 1994, which requires that there's public art integrated into capital improvement projects, and that the Arts Commission staff are required to administer that program. So the overall goal is to create positive, uplifting art experiences that support the programs and services of the county and really enrich the lives of community members. So we actually have artworks in 24 county facilities and 10 outdoor spaces. We only work on county-owned property. We do not work on city-owned property or other outdoor spaces such as like a park district or something. So really focused on county-owned buildings and also for outdoor spaces, an incorporated area because of course of the government structure is the county. So just a quick overview of some things. We have public art integrated into this library by artist Stephen Galloway. You can see images in this room here and on the slide. We have artworks integrated into Reach Ashland Youth Center and the exterior facade and the amphitheater and the courtyard and other places. These are the things that we've done recently in an incorporated area. We have artworks in the we have an artwork in the Cherryland Fire Station. Thank you, Chief, for your support of that. I don't actually have a picture of that one. We recently completed these community identifiers due to really the interest, support, and encouragement by Supervisor Miley, who took this opportunity from community members. They saw their interest and then encouraged that we would hire artists to make community identifier murals in the 3 areas of Castro Valley, Ashland, Cherryland, and San Lorenzo. So here's some images of artists making the Ashland, Cherryland community identifier. I wanted to recognize the community members that were on the selection committee that are here tonight that worked on this, which includes Barisha Spriggs and Sandra Macias. Thank you for helping. Also, Rick Hatcher, I don't think he's here today, but he was also involved in that project. Here's the project. And here in San Lorenzo is John Worley, who is painting his project, and I want to thank the selection committee members for that project, which include Dawn Klauser and Penny Peck, who were here tonight. Thank you both. And some other well-known community members that selected this artist are Sandy Anderson and Randy Waggy. I don't have a picture of the Castro Valley Community Identifier, but that's the 3rd one, and I just wanted to say thank you to Ashley Strasberg, who was on that selection committee and helped with all of the projects. So thank you, Ashley, for your work. So along with that, we've been working with Eileen Dalton and the Economic and Civic Development Department and the Public Works Agency on what we consider these other community enhancements, specifically for the utility boxes. Public Works Agency offered to pay for a utility box art program in which we are hiring artists and making vinyl wraps for the utility boxes that are all county controlled. They're actually traffic signal control cabinets. These were the first few, and the imagery is connected to the community identifier mural. It's Cherryland, and there's many in Ashland. And then in working with Eileen Dalton in the Civic and Economic Development Department, they have, I'm sure Eileen will describe, they have a banner program, and the artists have been hired to make specific, unique designs for those communities. This is the first group in Ashland, outside of Reach. And here's some utility boxes in San Lorenzo by John Worley. So now we're coming to some of our current in-progress projects. So I just wanted to first mention the Cherryland Community Center, which many of you know about, and it's, maybe Eileen might help out with her description, and I think that construction is getting closer in the spring here. It may open in the summer. Yep. So I and my staff have been working on, it's a capital improvement project, therefore it qualifies for hiring a professional artist to make artworks. We actually started the process with this project in 2014 because we were running it concurrently with the fire station. These were the community members that participated on the selection committee. So you can see all of their names here. I want to thank the members that are here today, include Michael Reed, thank you, and Ingrid Muller, and Cindy Torres. Well, thank you for your involvement. So for this project, the selection committee, we worked with, I should say, just to back up a little bit, for each project, my staff works with the managing staff, the main clients and the community to look at where the artworks would be integrated. The architect, Nolan Tam, suggested that we hire an artist to make a unique design to be placed into the canopy, exterior canopy of the building, and we hired artists to make small scale works that will be installed inside the building. Then we went through our regular process that we've used for our many other projects in this area, for this library, for the fire station, other things in this community, Reach, Castro Valley Library, others. First, now I'm just going to talk for a few minutes, so you can look at me if you want to. So first we meet with the team to see where can we integrate the public art in public spaces. How can it support the services? So here, this is a very important room, and it was felt that public art would enhance the overall space for the enjoyment and like the celebration of the community. These images celebrate like natural and historic elements of the community. Then we asked community members to serve on the selection committee, and we put out just a general call, and then we hope to assemble a group of community members that will meet together. Along the way, the members of the Alameda County Arts Commission advise and vote on the budgets and the projects. Plus, we have a public art advisory committee that also works in the details. So after the budget is established by essentially the county staff, and the plan for the money and the public art is worked out with the project team and approved by the members of the commission. We ask community members to be involved on the selection committee. Then we show them a group of artists that we think would be generally qualified, and we ask them to then select a smaller group of semi-finalists. There's usually 5 or 6. They make proposals, and then those proposals are put on public view, and we ask community members to make comments. And then we collect the comments and have the selection committee reconvene, and they interview the artists, hoping to find a match for an appropriate opportunity and community where they would be making the work. Then their recommendation, the selection committee's recommendation, goes to the Public Art Advisory Committee. They're appointed by the commission. It also goes to the commissioners. The arts commissioners make an official recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for their standing and their contract. Now that you are here, we would be asking that I would also be coming to you in March to tell you about the selection for this other project. So you are now involved in our process in which I'll be presenting the recommendations of the selection committee to all of you, hopefully to gain your support. And then that support would also be communicated to the Board of Supervisors when there's a voting item for them. So for this project, we worked with these community members. They looked at the proposals. They selected Deborah Stuckel to make the piece for the canopy. This is an illustration of the building. It's a little hard to see, but the canopy essentially runs on the outside of the building. Deborah Stuckel made these images of cherry blossoms and cherry tree branches. They're being essentially translated into cut metal, and they'll be on these exterior canopies that people walk underneath around the exterior of the building. So now, I just essentially soon to be seen project. Now, this is the current project we're working on. There are 2 upcoming projects that are connected with the 2 corridor improvement projects that are managed by a Public Works agency. The first one is East 14th Street Corridor Improvement Project in Ashland. The second one is the Hesperian Boulevard Corridor Improvement Project in San Lorenzo. And we went through the same process with these 2 projects. We met with the Public Works Agency project manager and the team that was doing the engineering and design, and worked on a plan to develop where would the artwork, this unique artwork designed by a professional artist, how could it be integrated into these corridor improvement projects, with the goal of making sure that the artworks are well placed, they're seen, they're supportive of the environment, they will be made in durable materials, easy to maintain, and will hopefully live the lifespan of a corridor improvement project of this type. Let's see. I have the list of the selection committee members here. So again, we then put out a call to ask community members to be on the selection committees for each of these projects. There's a committee for each group, And these are the names of the community members in each group. So I guess we'll see on East 14th Street, Barisha Spriggs is again a community member. Thanks, Barisha. Plus we have all of these fabulous people here, but I don't think, is there anybody else here in the room that's on the East? Oh, Celeste, nice to see you. Hey, Celeste. I didn't see you at the beginning of the meeting. Yay, is there anybody else? Okay. Yes, so then, to say, on the second, I was kind of good to that. So on the second committee is Hesperian Boulevard, and yes, the fabulous group here includes Diane Weidler and Kathy Reedy, who are both here. Thank you both. Is there anybody else here on that group? I didn't see, okay. Just a note that Danielle Wilson, who's the librarian here, she's on the committee too, so she's great. Okay, so coming close to an end here, which is to say, I wanted to tell you what the projects are so you understand. So for the first project, East 14th Street, between 162nd Avenue and 238, that's the project area. The artwork, we will be hiring one artist to make unique designs. They will be given to the general contractor, who will then be hiring subcontractors to fabricate these things. The first item is we will be hiring this artist to make designs to be put into stools along the sidewalks. Second thing, they will be asked to make designs for cut metal panels. Third, there will be pedestrian barriers, which are barriers along sidewalks to keep people in the right areas and then asked to cross in safe locations. They will be making also designs for the pedestrian barriers. Then additionally, they will be making designs for utility boxes and street banners. So here's an example of a stool. You'll see in this image above, there's a fire pit. There will be no fire pit on the project. This is just an example that was available. So these small pebble stools will have cut metal. These images below are just examples to give you an idea of what is cut metal. They'll be put onto the tops. There's a total of 77 stools. 53 stools will have art, and they will include 27 designs. This is the architect's illustration of these cut metal panels that will be in the future median. This is not an example of a proposal, it's just an illustration to help you understand the concept. So there'll be a total of 17 of these cut metal panels with at least 9 designs, therefore some may be duplicated. And then this is an example of these pedestrian barriers, which the bottom image is sort of the example of a very common pedestrian barrier where pedestrians are asked to go to another area to cross the street. The image on the top is an illustration of how these new barriers will be constructed with panels. Also, the image does not represent an actual proposal. And as you know, the future will include some of these utility boxes and banners. But they'll be made by the artist that we hire. Okay, so that's for the first project. Second project on Hesperian Boulevard, we will be hiring one artist, and their assignment will be to create designs for decorative stencil sandblasted concrete, in which the designs will be integrated into 5 major areas in the sidewalks along the project area. Project area is from 880 to 8th Street. Additionally, they will be asked to make designs for utility boxes and street banners. And then related to that, we think that there may be opportunities to work again with Eileen Dalton in the Civic and Economic Development Department for the artists to make some other temporary projects in the commercial corridor. And then a related project, but with an artist we're already working with, John Worley, we're working on the idea that he may make a super graphic temporary mural that will be placed on the side of the Lorenzo Theater. So that's actually something that's already in the works. So here's a quick example of what is stencil sandblasted concrete. It means that the artist who makes a design is put into a metal stencil or some other type, and then here is an example of a worker spraying sand onto the stencil on the left, and then on the right is an image of what it looks like, which is like a contrast image on the sidewalk. Here's another example of a project somewhere in the world. And here's an illustration of the future corridor improvement with the overall goals include improved environment and safety for pedestrians and cars, cyclists, And there'll be wider sidewalks and trees and furniture and lots of different elements. I'm sure if you would like to learn more about this, you could invite Public Works Agency to come back and give you like a full presentation about the actual streetscape project itself.
What about the entrance of the sidewalks? They usually have metal and they do have a little bubbles that bother people.
We're in a formal hearing, so we have to wait for the public comment section.
Well, she is describing what they are doing for the Americans and San
We
Lorenzo
have to
people.
wait for the public comment to be open.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I will let you manage if there's comments. So that is essentially what I wanted to tell you is, oh wait, most important thing. So the proposals are on view now. So there are, let me make sure. There are, what's my, so the proposals, there's, for East 14th Street, there are 5 semifinalists, and for Hesperian, there are 6. Our goal was to have 6 for each, but one artist in East 14th was not able to complete their project. So all of the artists have made proposals. They have visual illustrations and design and a text description of their concept. They are currently all printed on large boards and in the library right now, or you could fill out comment sheets. They are also online. And so we're asking community members to look at the proposals. Please submit comments. All of the comments will be transcribed and given to the selection committee, and they will read them in advance of our meeting and then look at them very carefully to make sure that they understand community comments and integrate that into their deliberations. So we started the project in July last year. We went through the process. The proposals will be on view through January 26th, I believe. And then the selection committees will be reconvening in February. So and the meeting is open to the public. I have these 2 handouts with all the details in there on the side table. So for the Hesperian Boulevard, the selection committee will reconvene on February 4th, and they'll be interviewing the artists and then hopefully selecting one artist to recommend for the project. For the East 14th Street, the selection committee will be reconvening on February 7th. After that meeting, then we will be, I will be making presentations to community groups, including your group, in February and March, making sure that people understand what we have been doing, the process, and the recommended artists. I hope to gain your support when I see you next. Then the recommendation will be given to the Alameda County Public Art Advisory Committee and the members of the Arts Commission. And then we have a goal of presenting these recommendations to the Alameda County Board of Supervisors in April, and that the artists would be under contract in spring, and they would start to begin work, and then their work would be integrated into the construction schedule for each project. So thank you for listening to all of my information and looking at the beautiful images. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That definitely helps us appreciate all the hard work behind the scenes. Now, for those of you who are here, just to review, since you are here and you're taking the time out to be here, we want to be respectful of your time. And one of the ways to do that is when we have you participate in public comments, submit a card to speak so we can integrate you into the meeting. Because we do appreciate you taking the time to be here, but we want to do this properly so we can stay on schedule and of course also be respectful of who's speaking. So at this time then, I believe there was a question from the public, so thank you very much for showing your interest, and we can learn more then.
Could you open public
Are you opening public comments?
Yes, so we're opening it up now for public comments officially.
Estrella Benavides.
You can go to the
Hi, thank you for being so thoughtful of the changes in the community. I do believe that they are great. I did like the majority of them. However, I am a handicapped, 60 years old person who usually have problem when I cross from one side to the other one on the street and having the metals, bubbles, thing that they are having. It is hard for people to cross those things, especially if they are in a wheelchair or if they are having a shopping cart or whatever they are having. And it's mainly the people who are, as I, struggling on it. And that is the reason why I thought that you are having the tools that are concrete and also some decoration that are not exactly metal or obstacles that are making difficult the crossing of the people or the going through. So I am trying to propose, if I can, that you may change those in order to help elderly people or the people who are having the need to be pushing carts or wheelchairs, because they are not so handy or practical. I feel that they hold a lot and harm the handicap community. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Rachel, anything else that we should think? You know, one question that I did have for you, since a lot of the statistics we've learned about even areas that a lot of people commute out of the community to work, is there a big effort for the local artists to be as local as possible?
Is the question, is there an effort for the
So when you're
public art
selecting
to-
artists, do you try to keep in mind prioritizing someone who's actually as local to the Eden area as
Okay,
possible?
good question. I have sort of like it's sort of like a medium length answer. Would you mind if you think you have a couple of minutes for the answer? Okay. So we, because we are a county department, we follow the standards that the county has about an open competitive process. So these artists, they receive contracts, they're like small local businesses or businesses essentially. So what we do is that every approximately 5 years, we have a very large call to professional practicing artists in Alameda County and the greater Bay Area. And we ask them to submit their qualifications, which are essentially images of their past artworks and their qualifications written in a statement. And then they go through a process for review with experts in the field. And then individuals that are like the highest ranked individuals are accepted into an artist registry officially. And at that phase, Alameda County artists who live or work in Alameda County receive extra preference points following the overall philosophy of Alameda County, like purchasing and contracting, which is and the Board of Supervisors, which specifically has a goal of reinvesting Alameda County opportunities in Alameda County businesses, in this case, artists. So they do receive preference points in relationship to their application at that stage. So then we actually have a very large registry. It's about 280 artists. So it includes Alameda County artists. It's actually the strong majority of the artists in the registry are Alameda County artists. I should say, by the way, when we are doing the call, we have an extensive outreach into Alameda County and beyond. And our goal is that essentially every single practicing professional artist in Alameda County will know about our call and be encouraged to apply, because it's extremely wonderful opportunity for them to be included in our collection. We actually have about 800 artworks in it, both large, medium, and small. And it's a wonderful way both to encourage their career and create a job opportunity for them. So then when we work on an individual project like this, my team and the appointed commissioners and our appointed public art advisory committee members look at the scope of the project, understand the goals of the potential artist, and then we go to the registry and we make a smaller pool of artists that we think are a manageable and appropriate group for the selection committee to look at, and it's usually about 30 to 40 artists. Depending on the project, sometimes they're all Alameda County artists, and sometimes they're Alameda County and beyond artists. For smaller projects, we will sometimes have only Alameda County artists in the pool when it gets down to that level. For these two projects, because they're quite large projects that have a good amount of complexity to the design challenge of the different environments, we included artists that were Alameda County and non-Alameda County artists in the project pool. And I'm actually going to see if on my piece of paper it says if the artists in the selection committee. So it does say on my report that which artists are the semifinalists for each group and where they are from. And so that information is provided. My quick look is that all of the artists in the East 14th Street are Alameda County artists. And let's see, in the Hesperian project, some are and some are from neighboring counties.
Thank you, Rachel. I apologize, I don't think I officially closed this segment on public comments, but before I do, is there anyone else from the public who'd like to make a comment on this agenda item? Okay, so hearing none.
It's not exactly a comment. I'm proposing. I do believe that it's nice that they are selecting from the same county and some others in the same area, but is there any way that you can include new children that are dreaming to become artists and to be put them into the supervision of the people who are selected, to be given more chances to the community or the newcomers that are going to grow and be the ones in the future?
Would you like me to comment on that? Sure. Yeah. So, as many of you know, there's many cities, counties, states, and federal government have ordinances for public art, public funds to be spent on hiring practicing professional artists incorporated into capital improvement projects. And our ordinance is very similar to others in which it specifically says that our job, my job, and the job of the county is to hire practicing professional artists that are qualified for these jobs. And therefore, that is what we do. But we do look for opportunities in which community members and others can sometimes be involved in public art projects as collaborators or inspiration in some way. For example, at Reach Ashland Youth Center, those artists worked with different youth in developing their ideas and sometimes even making the work for them placed in public spaces. So it depends on the project, but specifically the ordinance requires that we hire practicing professional artists.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, so we'll officially close the public comments period, and I just wanted to, I think we have 2 members of the council, 3, who had questions as well. And this is for Rachel, is that correct?
Yeah. Rachel, you said there was a temporary mural on the theater. And how is that going to be temporary? Is that a banner, or is that going to be water washable paint?
Good question. So, I'm taking a lot of time, so I'm hoping that I'm sorry that I'm taking so much time, I just wanted to say, but I will answer your question. In looking at the opportunities for this Berrien project, I and Eileen Dalton met and we talked about what are ways in which public art can help celebrate the assets in the community and enliven the spaces. And so through that conversation, we thought that, of course, the theater is a tremendous focal point for the community, and that there may be an opportunity during this phase when there's potential new activity there at the theater to use this opportunity of this public art activity at the theater site. So the idea is that John Worley, the artist who is already under contract and made the community identifier mural and the utility boxes, will be hired to make a unique painting to celebrate the theater. It has not been completed yet, but already taken place last year is an amendment to his contract that was approved by the Board of Supervisors who's restored the work. So the idea is that he would make an original painting that's sort of medium size, and then it would be printed as a super graphic on a very large banner or a very large vinyl sticker type billboard. And then it would be in place for a few years as the project, the new theater project develops along the way. And then it would be removed. And so that is the plan.
That's excellent. The reason I brought that up is because a lot of people I've talked to already about that. And the one lady, I don't know where she, her concern about the crosswalks, of metal embeds and stuff, I doubt very much whether they're gonna put an impediment for people walking across there where they can trip. Everything will be smooth. It's just that I noticed that we're going on the European style with the lines on all the crosswalk now, which is excellent. But I've also, the sandblasting is not gonna be to a depth on the sidewalks where it can be a trip hazard. It's just a design. So therefore, it's just a design like a painting, if you will, but it's gonna be sandblasted so it lasts longer. Thank you.
Absolutely, positively, yes. It will not be a trip hazard. It's just a very slight indentation and should be quite durable, but in no way impede walkability or I guess movability on the surface.
And then we also have to keep in mind that those little bumps on the sidewalks are for the visually impaired, right? So that was what that was developed. So a person who has visual disability, visual impairment, can actually tell when they've reached the other end of the street. Diane, you had a question?
Yes, I was wondering, do you see opportunities in the future to incorporate the eating area as a whole? Right now we're doing the individual community identifiers, but to include something that makes people aware that this is an eating area. The whole area is called the eating area.
I am not working on something like that. That has not been suggested to me yet, but I have a feeling that Eileen Dalton will talk about community asset signs. You know, however you will describe them. So she may be talking about some work on that. Public Works Agency has, as mentioned, has offered to provide funding for the utility box art program for county-controlled traffic signal cabinets. So we will be continuing to look for utility boxes that we can put artworks on, and then I believe the next phase, natural next phase, is to look at the boxes that are not county-controlled, that are owned by others, to see if that we can also put artworks on those. So that is some way in which I will hopefully be working on adding additional public art elements and hopefully a unifying way in other areas.
I think we have one more question.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm curious about a couple of things. Is it possible, Chair, to have the Public Works Department come and give us a presentation so we can get more detail for our residents about hazards, bike parking, other things that might be incorporated in the public improvement project?
Yeah. So I think towards the end when we have maybe some reports, and of course we've already made it up because you mentioned it. Let's keep that in mind for working with staff on making that happen, if that's the will of the council. Yeah.
I'm also curious about whether or not you use green materials in your art and how that's considered.
So, the county does have a, I don't know, maybe your county staff can help me, but there is a priority on sustainability and environmental conscious building, and that the county is expected to look at ways to satisfy the LEAD program. And so you can help me with the acronym stands for Leadership in Environmental Education Design, I think. And so, the county buildings here, they all have a rating about their LEED level. I actually, so when artworks are integrated into a built environment like this one, they are also looked at in relationship to following standards in that program. For example, we would also be asked if if an artist was painting something in a building during its construction, it would be evaluated for its materials and if it has any off-gassing, and if it's using materials in which they could be replaced by more appropriate materials. So we are part of that county review. In the case of the streetscape projects, the artists are making designs, but the actual fabrication and installation is being completed by the general contractors and their subcontractors. So they will be looking at making sure that they follow county through leadership on the most appropriate materials. In terms of, I think there's a balance between what types of materials and also what are the most appropriate, most durable, and maintainable. So hopefully that's a good and complete answer. Especially
it sounds like a no.
Well, did you ask me, do they use, what was your initial question?
do they use?
If it's green.
Oh, is it green? Does that mean, what is the definition?
I think as you said, following lead and going in accordance to environmental sustainability.
Yeah.
And that sounds like the contractors may or may not.
I actually don't know. When Public Works comes, you could ask them that. Yeah, that would be great.
Any other questions from members? All right, well, thank you, Rachel.
Do you mind?
At this point, we already closed the public comment section, Ms. Shirley, so apologize. So, we'll stay on schedule and be respectful of your time too.
Okay.
So, thank you so much, Rachel, and giving us pointers on how else we can be better informed about these developments is really critical, so we can do our job better.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, and congratulations for your first meeting.
Thank you. Over to item 4, introduction to the Economic and Civic Development Department. It's an introduction in the urban unincorporated communities. Informational item. We'll have Eileen Dalton and Susan McHugh speak on this item. I don't have a third name, so maybe it'll just be Susan. Okay, great. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Eileen Dalton. I work for the Alameda County Community Development Agency. I'm the director of the Economic and Civic Development Department, and for those of you who've known me for a long time, we're the former redevelopment agency for the county. I've worked for the county for 22 years, so been around for a long time. And I'm joined here by our staff, and I'll take a little piece. I wanted to give you a chance to meet us, because I know we'll be here often to see you on our projects and programs. I've left you all with a couple of our takeaway items. One is in English and one is in Spanish. It's almost like a ginormous business card for what we do at our agency. And for those of you who like to fiddle like I do, we have a pen that writes, and it also has a little pull-out map that has a map of the Eden area, including Castro Valley and Hayward Acres, and also a little bit of information about our agency. And these tools are for the business community or the community in general to get information and also drive them to call us. So, thank you so much for inviting us to be at your first.
May I have your attention, please? The time is now 7:30, and the library will be closing in 30 minutes. Library computers will automatically shut off 5 minutes before closing. So please remember to print or save your materials. Thank you.
Thank you. I know it's been a long meeting, and we're really thrilled to be here on your first night to introduce ourselves with an information item. We're going to go quick because it's been a long night. Feel free to ask questions, and we don't have everything we do here, but we're going to try to touch on just as much as we possibly can, and we're happy to come back anytime you'd like us to. The Economic and Civic Development Department works in the urban unincorporated county, and our focus is on business attraction, expansion, and retention. Programs within that category include our Open for Business, an effort to make our business process easier for our commercial clients. We also serve as an ombudsman or concierge. We're trying out Business Butler. We are folks that you can call if you're interested in opening a business or coming to the county for an application for any kind of commercial activity, and we'll try to help you work through the process because it can be daunting and complicated. We thrive on public-private partnerships and also public-public partnerships. These include our property dispositions, including the Lorenzo Theater, which we're going to tell you a little bit about, and the Doctors Building in Castro Valley, for example. Commercial beautification, we're proud to announce we're going to be relaunching our commercial facade improvement program. Thank you. For the Eden area, we also have a billboard program. We work with Rachel on public art, and we have a graffiti abatement contract. We have one-on-one business counseling, and then of course we have a great relationship and a contract with the Chamber of Commerce. We work on building business capacity through our training programs, our award-winning food training program, which is a big focus for us. We have our promotion of community identity through banners, signature events and our wayfinding program, which we don't have images of, but it's an effort to have images and logos from all of the Eden area that look similar, so that if you're coming through any of the urban unincorporated areas, you'll know you're in the Eden area. Maybe we can come back with that at another time. And lastly, our entrepreneurs and innovation, we're really focused on creating pop-up opportunities, low barrier to entry for small businesses to try out business, including a couple of incubator efforts and vendor incubation. I am going to introduce quickly, we have 100% of our, well, almost 100% of our staff here tonight, like Rachel, Rolene, and me, four people. And next up is Susan McHugh. She's the assistant director for the department, and she has, maybe she can give you a little bit about her background. Janie Garfanos from our staff is going to talk to you about the Lorenzo Theater here in San Lorenzo, and Kristen Peralta is going to talk to you a little bit about our training programs. All right, Susan.
Thank you. I'm really old and I've been doing this a really long time, so I know everything about it. So I actually always worked for cities, and this is the first time I worked for a county, and I'm absolutely delighted to be working for Alameda County because I'm a longtime resident, and I worked in a lot of Alameda County cities, so I kind of know from both sides, and it's been a wonderful experience. It's a great community, it's a fabulous staff, and we're delighted to be here with the Eden Mac. We're going to race through our major projects pretty quickly, but we have our contact information, and please feel free to call, email, get hold of us if you want more details or information or a presentation. We're really here to give you whatever you need. So real quick, the Ashland Common Park is a wonderful partnership we're very excited about. It's a brand new park that we're planning, that we worked with the community. I see a bunch of you in the room that helped us plan this. And actually you can see Cindy Torres in the far right.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
and I know she's, well, they printed that out. She is having her picture taken, so I'll pay for that one. Anyway, it's a great project between our department, the Sheriff's Office, and the Trust for Public Land. It's going to be a wonderful, dynamic, multi-use park. And let's go to the next slide so you can actually see the park that was designed with the community. We are applying for a state grant that would pay for this. We think we have an excellent chance of getting it. And you can see our partners' logos on the side there. It's a sports salon, there's a theater, an amphitheater, a place for retail pop-ups and food pop-ups. There's a space for the Sheriff's Office to interact in a great way with the community. So this is a terrific project, and we'll keep updating you as we get more information on it. That's a great project, Ashland. Cherryland Place, again, a lot of you from Cherryland have helped us put this project together with Bay Area Urban. It's 12,000 square feet of new retail, and one of the things Eileen Dalton pioneered for this project is that half of the retail space is below market, meaning it's half the cost it would take to rent commercial space anywhere else in the area. And why do we do that? We want to give local startups and entrepreneurs a shot at getting in the market. So that's how we do this. We also have a business incubator space, a community serving space, and 56 residential units. So we're very excited about this project coming into Cherryland, which is at the corner of Ashland. It's at the corner of Mission and Hampton on the west side. Cherryland Community Center, again, all our Cherrylanders know about this one very well. You've all worked on it for years. As Rachel mentioned, we're looking forward to opening that in summer of 2020. Grand celebration. It's a fabulous project. Again, we're happy to bring back more detail about that particular one, but you can see it. It's under construction right now, and 20,000 square feet? 17 plus of fabulous community serving space. Next one. Our San Lorenzo folks know about Village Green, which is Dillon Partners, right across the street here, doing 163 new residential units, 12,000 square feet of new retail space. We're very excited. We'll be working with him on getting that space leased up. Community dog park, and I want thank Supervisor Chan, who secured a $300,000 commitment from the developer towards the theater in Marquee. So that's just terrific. Here's a rendering of the project, what it's gonna look like. It's very, it's terrific. One more, this one, sort of a rendering of what the finished tower in Marquee could look like. And now we're gonna turn it over to you, Jamie.
Hello, thank you for having us here. The former redevelopment agency purchased the Lorenzo Theater in 2010, and so we've had it under our sort of stewardship since then. And in 2010, we also did a feasibility study for potential uses of the theater as well as rehabilitation of it. And we updated that feasibility study in 2019 with the intent to engage a developer through an RFI process to rehabilitate the theater. So we've been looking at the feasibility of it as well as engaging with developers, so both sides of it. That feasibility study update was completed by Page and Turnbull. They also completed the 2010 feasibility study, and as part of that, ALH Economics also were included to gauge market interest for the reuse of the theater. The improvements come in at around $10 million, and they include things from seismic strengthening to interior refurbishing and the marquee and the tower, lots and lots of things. The RFI that went out this late summer, early fall, really was to renovate the theater for an upscale dining and entertainment option for the San Lorenzo area, and really create a catalyst for the downtown San Lorenzo area that the Lorenzo Theater once was prior to its closing in the 1980s. As part of that, given that it's a historic building, it's on the historic registry, we had to be very sensitive to whatever improvements would be made by a developer for use as an entertainment venue to make sure that it meets those historic requirements, and that's why the Page and Turnbull study is so critical, and their continued oversight by a historic architect will be necessary for whatever developer takes the property. So we're also coordinating with the adjacent property owner, that's the Bohannon Corporation, for use of the Bertola's building to have an expanded kitchen option available for developer. And again, this fall, the RFI process occurred, and Matt DeLima was selected as preferred developer. He's a local man that grew up actually in San Lorenzo and has a number of different entertainment venues throughout both the East Bay and the Lake Tahoe area, as well as Sacramento. And his experience, he has a great track record and a good team that he's put together to go forward with the development here. All right. Oh, I'm doing this one too. Yay! Signature events. So, has anyone gone to any of our signature events? Fan Fest. Woo! Yay! Light Parade. Cast Valley. Okay, how about Showtime in San Lorenzo? Yay! All right. So, Alameda County sponsors 3 signature community events for the areas that we serve. Certainly the Cherrylyn Ashland one is the Fan Fest event. The Showtime in San Lorenzo is for San Lorenzo, and the Light Parade is for Castro Valley. And with each of those events, we have community engagement by having entertainment for them. The Fan Fest has music and vendors and a variety of community resources. This past summer, it was out on the street on East 14th Street, now that it's been taken over by the county, and so we were able to have it out on the street, and we had a big celebration out there. It was great, and it's our 4th year having the event. The Showtime in San Lorenzo is connected with theater tours, so we do tours of the Lorenzo Theater where you can see the blacklight murals. If all of the Matt has not attended that, I highly recommend it. We'd love to invite you for a VIP tour for next summer's, this summer event. And the Castro Valley Light Parade is an evening event where we
we have floats going down the boulevard at night in the dark, and they're all lit up. So all of these events are really to spur civic pride in the area, as well as economic development, by having vendors out there, by having businesses that are located in those areas participate, and by bringing people to the area to show them the interesting things that we have out here that are really exciting. And we're happy to and pleased to bring those to the county. So thank you so much.
Some of you have been tracking along with our billboard relocation and reduction program. The county started this effort 19 years ago, I think, Supervisor Riley. The goal was, or the idea was, hey, we need to get rid of the billboards. They're all over all the commercial corridors. Heck, the redevelopment agency was asked to look at it, maybe just buy them, which we determined would cost more money than we could print. So we did like a lot of other communities and adopted a billboard ordinance which prohibits billboards in the unincorporated county unless they're proposed as part of a relocation agreement, meaning for a new digital billboard on a commercial corridor, it would be considered if they would take down billboards. So we've been working on this for 19 years, and today at the board we just approved the 4th billboard in Castro Valley. There's one located right here in San Lorenzo.
May I have your attention, please? The time is now 7:40.
We're almost wrapped.
And the library will be closing in 16 minutes. And please remember to take your materials, so also please return laptops at this time. Thank you.
You've all seen the one in San Lorenzo. The Homes Association worked with Clear Channel on getting their identifying marker. There are 2 additional billboards that have been approved in the Eden area, in addition to San Lorenzo is the first one that was constructed. There's one that will be located at Harbor and A Street that will be oriented to the 880 freeway. There's a McDonald's and a Chevron gas station right there, and it's on the on-ramp. And the second one is on Langton Way, which is right off of Dwelling Boulevard, very close to Mission Boulevard. There are 3 billboards on that corner. There's a limo service, a gas station nearby. There'll be one new digital billboard in that location, and then the 4th billboard in Castro Valley will be at 580 Marketplace. So for the Eden area, we'll have 28 billboard cases coming down in exchange for these 3 digital billboards. There'll be $6 million in revenue over 30 years. And that revenue, thanks to the Board of Supervisors, is being allocated to a trust fund that the Community Development Agency and our department will program. So this is an area where I hope we can work with the MAC on coming up with projects and programs. So the idea was if we're going to generate revenue from these billboards, the community asked the county to have that money allocated back to the communities where these billboards are located. So we can have a funding source for small level economic development projects and programs. That it's a very broad category, and we were really interested in developing that with this group. So that'll be some actual real clean, regular revenue that will come into the county for a long period of time. Also, they're offering also offering us free public service messaging to the county. So you saw all-in program advertised on the billboard, and so we'll be able to advertise our community events and things like that. So we're really pleased with the programs.
Do the other 3 get to look nice and fancy?
This is the fanciest one. This was the only one with the community identifier on it.
Okay.
Hi everyone, my name's Kristen. I'm going to talk to you about I'm going to talk to you guys about the programs that we offer, that we've been working on for the past few years. The first one in front of you is our Business Entrepreneurial Training Academy, which is a mouthful, so we call it the FABETA program. And we're pancakes or your beef jerky, but maybe you need help in writing a business plan or your marketing or your finances. And so this class will provide more information on that. It's kind of like a mini MBA. We're, I think, in our 13th program, we have 3 regular classes, regular Favetas, and 1 advanced Faveta that is, they're sprinkled throughout the county. Tomorrow actually is our start of our 3rd advanced Faveta. It's taking place in Oakland. Again, it's 10 classes. This one is an application process. You apply and then you get accepted, and then the classes again is just more enhanced and deep dive into your business. We have another one coming up for a regular Faveta happening in April. This one takes place at the Fremont Library. That photo right there is from the 2019 Fremont class. That was our largest class. It had about 70 graduates. This library has actually hosted a Faveta as well. I think we had about 35 graduates. Again, this is our 4th year, and our next program's date should be announced probably in the springtime. They happen fall to spring, kind of that school semester. So that's our Faveta. The next part that we do, and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that we partner with the Small Business Development Center to bring these programs to life. So they get the instructors for these programs. And we have our workshops that come up again in the summer time is when we offer them, and they are free. Our first one is going to be happening on February 11th in this room, and our topic is cut off there, but pathway to crowdfunding business through social media and marketing, and we're working on scheduling the rest of the dates for these workshops, and then we'll put them out there to the world. Another part that when we partner with SBDC, we also offer one-on-one counseling. So you can contact us on our phone numbers on the card, and if you have something that you need help with, we can refer you to the SBDC, and you can have free one-on-one counseling about your business. And so I think that's a really cool part that we offer. That is our workshop. Almost there, I promise. The Open for Business project is an ongoing project to improve the county's permitting process for our commercial customers. Back in 2017, the board approved 12 recommended strategies, and it's to focus on technology, improve customer service, and provide a point person or business butler. And so you can see this fun penguin here is step 1 of our focusing on this project. This is PIMP, the Permit Penguin. His name stands for Permit Improvement Process. And my next slide, we're going to show you what we have been working on in 2019 is a video to better introduce our customers to our permitting process and introduce you to the departments that are involved with the process. So I'm hoping my video is going to play.
Kristen's trying one more time. So this is our first public viewing of the video. The idea is people don't want to read handouts. They want to go to websites. They want to see a video. And this is a very high level description of the commercial permitting process. And so what was really great is we partnered with all the other permitting agencies, Public Works, Fire Department, Environmental Health for food permits, and the planning department, and they all participated. They all wrote their descriptions. Some people volunteered to be on video, which was interesting. It'll be translated into Chinese, Spanish, and then closed captioned. And we hope to have the videos actually playing in we have one last slide that just shows how to contact us. So with the Food Training Academy, I think something I'd like to just end on is that, one of our economic development strategies you'll probably learn from us is that we're focused on food. People don't go to the mall, they wanna go out and eat, they wanna eat something different and new, they want a pop-up experience. So we focused on food as an economic development strategy, because it makes sense, and a lot of our partners in the area are doing the same. So you'll see a theme of that as you get to know us, that we are focused on, we've partnered with Mandela Marketplace on a food incubator business in Ashland, so we have lots more to tell you about that if you're interested. And that's okay. PIP is really awesome. It'll be on our website, it'll be on all of our permitting agencies' websites, and our last slide, if you could put it up, just shows how to contact us. Feel free. The person that's not here tonight is Lane Bailey, who's retired and works part-time on special projects, and he would have been here, but it was a good thing. So thank you so much for hosting us, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Eileen. Did anybody submit any speaker cards? At this time, are there any members of the council with questions for a speaker?
You referred to a contract with the chamber.
Yes.
Could you just quickly what that is and
Sure.
what the purpose?
Sure. The county started contracting with the chamber at the time when they expanded. So it was really important for having a thriving, successful chamber is really important for every community. And the Ashland, Cherryland, San Lorenzo community didn't have their own chamber. The members would either be in Castro Valley, San Leandro, or Hayward. So the Chamber of Commerce was willing to expand their role, and as Mark David Murphy eloquently described, that they cover all of the area now. So we started the contract with them at that time because of the extra resources to spread their work across quite a large area. So we have a partnership with them on, they have a regular economic development committee, they have a subcommittee of the chamber for San Lorenzo businesses and one for Ashland. So those two are really key and important tasks. They partner with us in the past on events, and they're just our partners when it comes to economic development and projects related to commercial development.
And one other question,
Sure.
when it comes to the billboards, what was the kind of negotiation process with these, large corporations, right? Did any of the fact that, views went into it as far as they're getting, a billboard over East Llewellyn is different than a billboard over 238. I mean, that's a lot of more people looking at whatever's being advertised. What went into that kind of determination of 4 billboards for half of the static ones? Anything about that?
Yeah. So the billboard program came about when a billboard was proposed, and we realized that we needed some assistance in helping to negotiate these billboard contracts, because it's quite a unique little niche business. So we actually hired a consultant, TRA. They're actually out of Boston, and they specialize in negotiating advertising for public agencies. So they work with transit agencies as well as public agencies for advertising. So they've been our guides through the negotiation process. The unincorporated county has billboards owned by 2 companies, Clear Channel and Outfront. So that the universe of billboards was limited to those 2 companies. Outfront had about 1/3, Clear Channel about 2/3, so they had more. So before we went out